Emmy-nominated American Morning, CNN, weekdays 6 Eastern.
People are hurting even with unemployment benefits, but you say it's actually more harmful than good in terms of helping these people and helping the economy. Why do you say that?
Well, no one can deny the pain of people who are out of work and frustrated because they're having trouble finding jobs. But the academic literature is overwhelming that unemployment benefits, when they're extended for as long as we're talking about 2 years, do increase the amount of unemployment. They discourage people from looking for work as hard as they might otherwise do. It's just human nature. And they discourage people from taking suboptimal jobs. And when we're doing this with borrowed money, which is only going to hurt employment in the future, I think that's just not necessarily the way we want to go.
So, Lawrence, I can only imagine you disagree with that very strongly, but take into account that this will, as Michael said, will add tens of billions of dollars to the deficit. And Republican senators, in voting against this, essentially, they said that they just don't want to add to the growing national debt. Is that not a valid concern?
Well, this is a great expenditure of money for two reasons. One is we do have the most challenging job market in a generation. There are 5 unemployed for every job opening. So this is a great time to give these people support. Secondly, the spending on unemployment compensation is the thing that most stimulates the economy of any that we have ever considered. This is according to the Congressional Budget Office and almost every economist I know. That's because unemployed people who are desperate get the money and they're going to spend it. I calculate that unemployment compensation we've been paying out earlier this year is responsible for around 1.5 million jobs now that we didn't have back in 2007. Now, when you borrow money at this point for a few years to support the unemployed, first, you get back at least half that money in the higher revenue and taxes from the jobs you generate and the greater output you generate and the lower spending as we create jobs. Secondly, this is the cheapest you can ever borrow money. The interest rates are extremely low. And by supporting the unemployed and creating these jobs, you're actually stopping a lot of scarring. When the young people are coming out of to find work and they can't find work, they're going to be scarred for their lifetime. There's harm done by not supporting the economy right now. It's not just a matter of debt for the future.
I'm afraid that sort of old-fashioned Keynesian economics is way behind the time. The most recent academic literature suggests that there's nowhere near the stimulative effect as people thought. That's because this money is not necessarily consumed. The people do tend to save a portion of it because they are looking towards the long term and their long-term economic prospects. It tends to discourage second earners. They bring in less money. The spouse brings in less money when you have unemployment benefits coming in. And overall, it adds only a little bit to the economy. There's far better uses of this money in terms of investment to create jobs than there is in trying to extend unemployment benefits for 2 years.
Well, Michael, let me jump in.
I don't know what you're talking about. The Congressional Budget Office ranks this as the most stimulating thing we can do. Goldman Sachs. May I finish what I'm saying?
Real quick,
May I finish what I'm saying? Goldman Sachs last night in its report said this is the best thing you can do. Mark Zandi, economy.com, says this is the best thing you can do other than giving people food stamps. So I don't know what you're talking about. Plus, we need to help these people. There's all sorts of spending that goes on for military, for tax cuts for the rich, for all these other things that people like you support. And now you won't support unemployment compensation. And one more thing, Kate. Okay. I think you're wrong in saying what's going on right now in Congress. This is not Congress recessing and not extending the unemployment benefits. They had a vote. There were 59 people for extending the unemployment compensation. Only 2 Republicans voted for that. This is basically the conservatives and the Republicans saying they don't want to help the unemployed.
I want to get to one point that Michael, you have also been making that we haven't really touched on yet, is you say that this unemployment benefits actually act as a disincentive for people to get their jobs. They stay unemployed longer. Lawrence, do you see that?
I think that's really a ridiculous thing to say at this point when we have 5 people that are unemployed for every job opening. So, for instance, there is proportionally as many college graduates that are long-term unemployed and getting UI as any other people. They make roughly $1,000 a week. Do we really think that getting $300 or so, $400 in unemployment benefits. They're taking a longer vacation. In surveys of the unemployed, we see that these people are downsizing, moving into with friends and families, borrowing money, putting off medical care, spending down their savings in retirement. These are people that are desperate. If one person is not taking a job because they're waiting, there is somebody else on unemployment insurance who will probably be taking that job, or 25% of the unemployed who don't get unemployment benefits, they're going to take the job. This is not raising the unemployment rate. Plus, that kind of analysis doesn't take into account that when we provide these people with money, they spend it and it creates millions of jobs.